As a financial advisor, I help executives and up-and-coming executives understand their benefits package. Here are 7 key terms you need to know and a brief background on why they're important. And at the end of this video, I'll share some actionable ideas with you. So the first thing you want to know is vesting, which is the process of earning an asset like a stock option, restricted stock, or a 401k match. The important thing to know is that it's not yours if it's not vested. One thing you will want to take special attention to are incentive stock options, which are also called qualified stock options, and they are given to employees of a company. Management wants to give you an incentive to do a great job at work so the company can grow and your stock options will be worth more. There is no tax when ISOs are granted, but be careful when exercising your options because there is a parallel tax system at play here. They can trigger what is known as the alternative minimum tax. You want to be even more careful if you are exercising non-liquid shares of your company because you may accidentally be triggering a big tax liability and you may not be able to sell your stock to pay for the taxes. Restricted stock units are a form of equity compensation in which a company typically awards stock at a future date. After that date, shares are usually delivered after taxes are withheld. This is one of the most common forms of equity compensation, as companies will have between 3 to 5 year vesting schedules. A vesting schedule will show you when you'll earn your options or shares and restrictions are lifted. The portion of a grant that has not yet met a vesting schedule is known as an unvested grant. Let's go over an example together. Let's say you are granted 100 shares of your company on January 1st, 2021 that has a yearly vesting schedule over the next 4 years. That means you will receive 25 shares per year starting on January 1st, 2022. So now fast forward 1 year from your grant date and 2 things are happening. 1, you are receiving the first tranche of your vesting schedule. So 25 shares are then taxed and delivered to your linked brokerage accounts as shares. The second thing that is happening is that you are probably given more RSUs with the new 4-year vesting schedule. So now in 2023, you will receive 25 shares from 2021 and 25 shares from 2022. You will notice in this example, you are now fully vested in 2025, receiving 4 different years of grants. You know what doesn't have a vesting schedule? Liking and subscribing to this video. You can do that right now. So now, if you weren't already all in on your company, you're given one more chance through something called an employee stock purchase plan. This plan allows you to buy shares of your employer stock at a discounted price, typically through payroll deductions. The benefit here is that you often get to buy company stock up to 15% off the share price or the lowest price the stock was during a window period known as a look back. It's a great way to pick up company shares at a big discount, but be careful of over concentration. By now, you may have ISOs, RSUs, and participating in your ESPP, and wow, that's a lot of acronyms. Make sure you diversify. One more thing to be aware of is when you're selling your ESPP, that big discount you got earlier is now taxed as ordinary income on your W-2. All other gains will be short or long term depending on how you have held those shares. And now you put all this together and you have what is known as golden handcuffs, and they are as fun as they sound. It refers to as having a big financial incentive that pay out over a long period of time. They are referred to as handcuffs because you will not receive the benefits unless you stay in your seat. So you can feel stuck, but will have the hope of getting a big payday in the future to make it all worth it. So here are some things to consider. If you're an executive leaving your job for another job, make sure you're counting your non-vested shares that the new company will need to compensate you for. For example, let's say you're at Bank of America with $400,000 of non-vested shares of BAC stock and you're being recruited by JP Morgan. Many companies will replace those old shares with new shares with the same vesting schedule. So it isn't a total loss. That is one way out of current handcuffs, but don't get too excited. You just got some new shiny cuffs with your new company. One last thing I want to drive home. You work at your company, you have continuous non-vested shares. Ask yourself a question. If you didn't work for this company, would you own this much potential equity in the company? If you wouldn't own it in any other way, you should probably sell the shares as they vest. Look at it this way. You're an all-star performer. If you get laid off, something might not be right and going on at the company, which means you lose your main income and your stocks are going down at the same time. That's really not ideal. So there's a lot to consider regarding concentration, risk, strategy, and taxes. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.